Welcome to the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm here in Washington, D.C., right across the street from the SEC. I've assembled a mob. We're going to take
Gary Gensler down.
We're going to take Gary Gensler down. We're not doing a live show. We're going to pre-record it, and I'm going to post it later this evening. But I wanted you guys to have something going into tomorrow's market, right? So a couple things I want to point out. The smart money, as it would be put, Larry, they're going risk off on AI. So there was a huge pullback on AI, largely in this last month that we're in. And truthfully, the money was rotating out of that and going into value stocks.
Right.
Now, I titled my last video, "It's Over," right? And shortly going into the close, the market strongly accelerated to the upside. Okay. Well, AKA the chart goat, I don't believe I'm wrong. Okay. It was over as far as the bulls having a clear control of the current market 2 weeks ago. It took me the last couple weeks to see that confirm. I knew that we were going to a bounce because it would be an expected bounce of a 2 to 3% pullback on the S&P 500. So I'm expecting that we will move back to the top of the range. But what is over is the strong command that the bulls had on the S&P 500 for most of 2023 and most of 2024. Now, where it's not over is that we are going to make likely, because I don't have Nancy's crystal ball. I came to Washington to borrow it. She's not returning any of my calls. We don't have the confirmation. The only way that we would still be in a bull market is when we got our 6% correction, that we went back. It's like a touch. It's like a rule. It's a technical rule. It had to come up to the top of the channel, and it had to touch base. Now, we're going to move up, right, after we've pulled back quite a bit, but we're not going to get to the top of that channel. That top of the channel would be around 58 to 5,900 right now. Okay, not unless it just screams Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which it's not going to do. It's going to move up, which means that we might get our 5,400 to 5,500 on the S&P 500, but we are out of what I would refer to as the markup phase. A little bit of a theme about the last 24 hours, we meet people. Some people are doing well, some people are not doing well. And, one of the things that causes us to ask ourselves is, how can we better communicate what we know? How can we impart that? Guys, I've talked about it many times on my show. I'm going to reiterate it today. The market has cycles, like everything in life, from price compression to expansion, right? It starts off in accumulation, very tight price action, normally flat, moving sideways over a period of time, and then it moves into a bull market, which is a mark-up phase, okay? The markup phase, when it gets to the top, it begins to roll out of that tight price pattern which drove it up, and it begins to go into a distribution pattern, which is not a very long pattern. It's actually the shortest. Distribution and decline fight for speed. We take the stairs up, we take the elevator down. Mm-hmm. Distribution and decline, there's no gauge as to how long they'll last. But the characteristics of distribution is when the price action begins to roll over, right? We begin to make a lower low, mm-hmm. and we'll make sometimes even a higher high. It's sort of a megaphone pattern. Yeah. Price begins to spread out until eventually it collapses. Okay. So where do I think we're at? I think that we are within a 2-month window tops of the distribution phase, right? I think we're moving towards the decline phase. So what does that mean? Okay.
I'm putting a mental pin in distribution.
Okay. Well, let me just pause and take a step back. Larry, thank you for being here today. Larry, with very little hesitation, told him I was going to Washington, D.C. He's sitting here beside me. Thank you. Larry, what is your perspective on the market right now?
I'm going to agree with you, but he's talking about these 4 phases, which I talk about a lot with crypto, right? But it also applies to, it's not crypto specific, it's also the stock market. Got accumulation, markup, distribution, and then markdown. Markdown is, oh no, the sky is falling, right? Distribution is the most difficult of the phases because it's so uncertain.
It'll shake you out.
It'll shake you out, right? Accumulation, you have these moves, right? You have these moves, and then all of a sudden you have start getting higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. Then you have distribution where markup where Bitcoin is, right? And some of the altcoins where it just surges up, right? Then you have distribution where the market is. The market is top heavy, it's expensive. But what's tricky is you have higher highs and lower lows, right? We know what lower lows and lower highs mean. We know what higher highs and higher lows mean. But what is higher highs and higher lows, right? But it is the hardest because people are in denial the most in distribution. Follow? Most people that lost money in crypto last cycle lost it because we did not believe that we were in distribution, right? You and I talked about that.
Correct.
Even Josh and I got caught. You got caught? Who got caught a little bit in the last market, right? That's what I'm talking about. Because we didn't believe we were in distribution. You're going, man, we just come off of this markup, right? It's going to do it again. It's going to multiply again. Market is clearly showing you, the technicals are showing you that we're in distribution, but we didn't believe it.
Well, I'm going to come to crypto here next because you brought it up, but let me just give one last thought, and you guys can all be my witnesses. Do you think I think I'm wrong? So I already see the rolling over, okay? And this is the next thing for those who are learning, right? Who are interested in the charts, who find some joy in the charts. Anyone like the charts in here? Oh, I feel you, man. I feel you, fam. My chart family out there. So what we're going to do, another confirmation that we are going into distribution, is when we make a new high, but on lower momentum. That's what is called bearish divergence in the RSI chart. So you can be assured that in the next couple days going into this week, I'm going to be watching for the momentum on the RSI to not reach as high as it just did. So we had a nice momentum, got overbought, right? I'm going to be looking for the next move, but it won't be as high as the previous one. That'll be confirmation that we are losing momentum. Now, the other way of that bearish divergence is that the price is actually higher. So that's where the idea of the divergence comes. The price on the S&P 500 will be higher than it's ever been, but the momentum will be lower than it previously had been. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'm going to say something right there. We're going to be bouncing, okay? So understand this. The technicals bag up the fundamentals, right? He spends all his time on mostly the technicals, then fundamentals. I spend all of my time on fundamentals, then technicals. They are in lockstep. This is a marriage, believe it or not. And so the question is, what do you do? What do we do, Josh, in this? Because big money is risk off now. He just told you. Big money is risk off. The reason why distribution is so dangerous, that's when a lot of people come running late and jumping in. Some of you guys in this room got ridiculous call off options on AMC and GameStop. Ridiculous call off options. But we are in a time where people like me are looking at where my stop losses are, and I'm risk off right now. Follow? So just take it from there.
Well, when the market does have this volatile moment that I'm predicting, where it goes higher than it previously just went at around 5,300, we're going to see lower momentum. And I just want to comment that this is probably going to be the moment where you need to be the most focused on what you're doing with your trading and your portfolio. I also am going to predict that crypto is operating in sync with the NASDAQ for the most part.
Yep.
And if we see the S&P, which is high tech and high growth, if we see the NASDAQ and the S&P make a new high, it would not at all surprise me that it's going to sweep Bitcoin up to around 77K. I've been predicting that. Larry and I have talked about that a year ago, that we would be at 80K around this time of the year. So I believe that at that point, this is also what I'm predicting, okay, is that Bitcoin is going to cool off. I don't see it having the momentum to push through and close above 80. I don't have that crystal ball yet. That's personally my opinion. If it changes, I'll let you guys know on the show. But it's going to reach a peak. It's going to reach a peak in Bitcoin dominance. So you're always looking at the price and you're looking at the momentum, right? And you're comparing how are they relating. It's similar to how I'm comparing the price of the S&P and the momentum in the RSI. Well, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin hitting around 77K and having the highest point of Bitcoin dominance that we would be expecting. Now, when that begins to break to the downside.
Explain what Bitcoin dominance is.
It's when the top, I think it's 70, if I'm wrong, I sometimes have to look it up. Top 70 coins are going up and have a higher market cap than against Bitcoin. So they're dominant above Bitcoin. So it's basically all the altcoins against Bitcoin. At the moment, more money's been flowing into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been in a dominant stage. But it's been around 51, 52, don't quote me on that. I think previously at the last Bitcoin cycle, it got up to around 55 before cooling off. So we're right at the point, very similar to where it had cooled off before, and it was really right before the summer and right before we had a massive move in the alts over the next 3 months. And so I am of the mind frame that when we see Bitcoin at around 77K and it begins to potentially cool off anywhere between 77 and 80, I'm of the mind frame that when that Bitcoin dominance shifts and turns, we're going to have an altcoin summer. I'll give you guys this quick thought. Not every altcoin is going to run up at the same time. Last season, we saw a lot of legacy coins run late. ADA was one of them. That's why a lot of people began to clown on ADA and some of the legacy coins, is because when Solana was breaking out, the legacy coins were going up 5-10 cents and they were jumping, Solana was jumping $5. We're going to see something similar. That's why I'm calling it over the summer. Some might peak, some of the Ondos already, the horse is out of the barn and running at this point.
Yep.
It's ahead of schedule because that's showing relative strength. So just, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to mention going into this week, we've got two big job reports coming out on Friday, right? And they're going to be obviously looked at by the Fed. And the fact is that one of the reasons why there was a lot of profit taking in this last month is because of the very clear message that we're going to hold rates higher for longer. And that's a big concern. I mentioned it in my last show that Wall Street wants everything. They want both sides of the coin. They want to have a growing and strong economy, and they want to see inflation come down. It's not what we have. The economy is moderate with some signs of weakness. GDP is getting pulled back, but inflation is sitting still. So truthfully, we're not seeing growth or decrease inflation, where they want to see growth and decrease of inflation. So they went risk off this last month. And then take into consideration the fact that we've got the chip makers cooling off. When they began to see profit taking on the chip makers, then that was also a second confirmation that the chart goat knows what he's saying, which is Wall Street is selling. We know that Berkshire Hathaway dropped 13% of Apple. We've been having these signs for a long time. So after I wrap up this show for everybody that's out there, and I'll get it posted tonight, you guys will get to maybe watch it twice for me. We're gonna dive into what exactly does that mean for our long-term investing strategies. If I'm saying that we have distribution ahead of us and potentially decline, how much are we expecting the market to go down? We'll answer some of those questions and some of yours. Guys, thank you for joining me today. Thank you, Larry. You want to take the last thought?
Yeah, I want to talk about crypto for a minute. Okay, so we know in 2021, crypto did its own thing. It was like, stock market. Crypto did its own thing. That has changed. A lot of people think, okay, this is this and this is that, and then they just roll with that for the next 10 years. If you're not actively switching or moving with the market, you're going to lose, okay? You have to watch the market now. That's why, if you notice, I pulled back from the hot plays, and I'm like giving you guys a lot of fundamentals, okay? This is happening, okay? That's happening, right? BlackRock alone now is the #1 holder of Bitcoin. BlackRock is, okay? BlackRock manages $10 trillion in assets, the biggest asset manager on the planet. BlackRock also owns the biggest portion of all of the Bitcoin miners. All. Think about that, okay? All right. Collectively, all the ETFs now have gotten $60 billion worth of Bitcoin. Okay? I'm finna tell y'all how to make money. I made a lot of money on crypto last year, and I plan on making a lot more this year. Okay? But you know that song, when you move, I move, we move, and you know how that goes. Right. So this is a dance, good people. We have to see what's going on. About a week ago, remember, was that last Friday when the market dipped off? I think it was last Friday. Market dipped off.
Well, last Thursday.
Thursday it was.
It was Thursday. Pretty nasty sell-off.
It was Thursday, right at the sale. I want you to take your charts, go back. I want you to stack up Bitcoin, the S&P, and the Dow. And you will see literally at close, including Bitcoin, and then right back up. Okay? So you cannot unsee that. And if that didn't bother you, it should, to see what's going on. Bitcoin is in lockstep with the NASDAQ right now. It's recorrelated. It correlated back at the end of 2021, right? Now, Bitcoin is Dow crypto, right, good people? I'm going to say the S&P of crypto, because the Dow, if you look at Friday, stop looking at the Dow. It's insignificant. 34 companies, okay? I'm just telling you guys. I'm not saying total it out, but look at the S&P and the NASDAQ, okay? Who's in the Patreon? All right? Who saw that NASDAQ play that I made on Friday? QQQ I meant, on Friday. Did you make money? Who got in? But you saw what I did with it, right? All right. What's funny is if you look at your chart and you look at what the Dow did, it did the opposite of the S&P and the NASDAQ. Okay? Why? All right? It's heavily weighted in certain stock, but you have to know what you're trading. I want to get back to Bitcoin. Crypto. When Bitcoin hits that 77, remember months ago I kept saying when Bitcoin hits 78, I'm not waiting for it to come to 80. You remember that? You guys remember that, right? It's all coming back now, right? What did I say I'm going to be doing with Bitcoin? Deuces. I'm out. Right? Cool off. Rejection. Cool off.
But Kathy Wood said it's going to $1 million.
Yeah, it will. But it ain't going to be a straight line. You see, I said ain't again. It ain't going to be a straight line. Because isn't don't fit it. It ain't going to be.
The hairs on Michael Saylor's hands just stood up.
Right.
You don't like it.
And so, for those of you, like on my Instagram, I posted a 1-minute video on how to swing and set stop losses and set limit buy orders on your crypto. I've been swing trading bunk, and I'm going to show you, Josh. And I'm just telling you guys that sometimes the way to make money is really simple, because you just have to set it and stick to a plan. And now it's cooled off now. All right. So the other day there was, what was that, Thursday, 65. Yep. It was 65. Cooled off a little bit, still up, right? I've done that 6 times with Bunk.
So he's got about a 50% return on Bunk from last Thursday.
From last Thursday. Now I've done that 5 times, and I got a nice piece of change in it. It's a meme coin. It's not a whole coin, good people. It's not an investment. It's that girl that you took her out on a date. Y'all know the story.
We heard this. I heard this one. Tell me about it.
And she stole your wallet.
And you picked her up next Friday.
And then you picked her up next Friday, guys. And you picked her up next Friday. I'd better sit. You picked her up next Friday, and then she went out with your brother. I'm saying this. I want to say this again because I want you guys to leave with this, right? And then I'm sorry. And then you know what? I'm so sorry. Give me the keys to your house. I'm going to go clean your house out. And then she done ransacked your place and stole all your furniture, sold all your furniture, right? And then you come back the next week, she stole your car. And you keep going back to her. You keep going back to him. Believe these moves when they show you who they are. And so don't get married at the wrong time, because with crypto, now here's what's going to happen. When Bitcoin jumps above to the 78%, what do you think these meme stocks are going to do? Raise that. What do you think? What do you, come on. You better believe it's going to jump up, right? And then the mob will come. I want some of that doggy coin, man. Give me some of that. You know what's going to happen. The mob will come, and it's going to push it up even more. And then when Bitcoin cools off, floor drop, right? So what do? I want you guys to leave with something. I want you guys to know that the elevator's going up. Lock in some profits in these memes. Lock in some profits in these memes. Don't treat a meme coin like you treat SOL and Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are two totally different beasts, right? So Bitcoin will be $1 million one day. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. You guys saw all of the CEOs I've had on the show. It's not going to be a straight line. So what I'm saying is, when alt season comes, I'm using my meme coins to feed my alt season, right? And then I'm using my alt season coins to feed my Bitcoin and Ethereum. At the end of the day, 8 years from now, all I'm going to be in is Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? I'm going to be a multi-Bitcoin millionaire, period. Me, my wife, my 2 daughters, and we ain't selling at that point, because it is institutional money. And in closing, the significance of BlackRock buying all of the miners up.
Huge.
BlackRock is, man, I want to stand so bad when we're doing this. Hi, good people. I'm going to tell you guys how you're going to kill it, okay? 80% of these meme coins are going to go away. Bitcoin will be $1 million one day. I believe in the next cycle, Bitcoin will be 250,000 in the top of the next cycle. It's going to happen. Okay.
Can I finish your point, and then I want to build on.
Yes, and you build on that. So what's going to happen is, what was my point, man?
I'm
getting old, man.
Well, let me right there.
I was like, man, I wanted.
Maybe it'll come back.
I was right there.
Okay.
It was fire. You know what? I'm gonna let him talk, and I'm gonna come back.
All right. So here's something for you to consider, because Larry and I, the big debate between Larry and I, Ron, has been about the idea of, he's saying, you guys are pro traders. I'm not. You know, some of your followers are not. You guys are pro traders.
Right, yeah.
They don't know what you guys know, right? So let's talk about that for a minute regarding Bitcoin and what he just said. The truth is, he just told you it'd be $1 million. So if you bought some at 69,000, a full Bitcoin, you might say, well, I'd be crazy to sell that. When could that happen?
Yeah.
In the next decade, right? So I'd be crazy to sell that. Well, that's the thing. Larry and I are going to, and we don't work together in this way, but as friends, I kind of know what he's probably going to do, and I know what I'm going to do. We're going to swing it, okay? Because here's the reason, okay? Let's say we hit 77 and we come down from there, and let's say we have no other bull cycle. I'm not predicting that. Let's hypothetical, right? If we sell ours and you don't sell yours because you believe it's going to $1 million, and it comes all the way back down, and you bought in at 69,000, and it comes all the way back down to, where's my future prediction? 32K. That's the prediction that I've had for a while now, that we will retest the structure we never tested when we took off from the last winter. We tested everything with 32K.
I know. I got to get it in because I remember now. All right. So remember when I had a Bitcoin last cycle at 50K, and I sold it? You remember that? And it was like, oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Why would you sell now? Why would you sell now? I took the one Bitcoin, because I said, you can't count. I took the one Bitcoin that I sold at 50, and I bought 2 at 25. Bing! And then I want you to stick up. Here's what I want to say about BlackRock while I can remember it. All right? Because I'm getting older. All right, BlackRock, 10 trillion in assets, okay? They are the largest asset manager on the planet. What do they manage? This is where I spend hours of research. What do they manage? Anybody know?
I know. Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
bing. Your retirement accounts, the police fund, the fireman fund, the teachers fund. Who manages it? BlackRock. What does BlackRock own vertically now? They are the largest holder of Bitcoin. Bing. What will BlackRock one day say to the funds that they manage? We suggest that you put about 1 to 2% of what? Bitcoin in your fund. What happens to Bitcoin at that point? You're welcome. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. So here's the concern that I have, and I'll share this with the audience here as well, that if you bought at 77, now I have traded and I've had big moves. One of the biggest was SHIP. You remember SHIP? Was that the
I was going to say it's Sunday, Josh.
I'm telling you, it was
brother's
a mess.
pastor.
Yeah. So I think I bought that. This was years back. It peaked in like 2008, 2009. It went up to $106. I bought 1,000 shares. Okay, and it immediately went up to around 120, 121, and I was getting greedy. Didn't have the experience I have today. I would have put my stop loss in right beneath my entry. That's obvious. And I would have been raising as I went. But I thought, this thing's going to the moon.
Right.
People were calling it out to $200. And it just had a massive drop. We're talking someone sold hard into that stock. And next thing you know, I was 5K under when I had been like 17, 18K up. And it was the craziest day. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about eyes glued to the screen. I think it went all the way down to like $17. $17. So I was now down 100K in like 3 hours. And I just couldn't believe it. It kept falling and it kept falling.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, okay, I think I might have walked away and spent some time praying. That thing, and that doesn't work, folks. I'll just tell you.
But he cries like a brother. He's like, Larry.
No, yeah. So the conclusion of that is that stock completely recovered before close, right? And I sold it right above my entry.
Yeah,
and I mean, so many lessons to be learned there. One is if I had been knowing the technicals I know today, I could have gotten in and made 80K on the run up, right? I just didn't know what I was doing. But here's what I want you guys to take away regarding Bitcoin. If you buy it today and it goes to 32K, many people are going to lose the fortitude that it would take to sit there and buy it all the way back up to 77K 4 years later. They're going to say, I need the money, situations have changed. So just, you want to take into consideration, Larry and I are probably not going to be in that position. Our plan over the 4 years, we don't have a mutual plan, but we have an individual plan. It won't change, right? But I want everyone to consider exactly your own personal situation. That's going to wrap up our show. Thank you guys for joining me. Hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate you. Peace and blessings.